Well, hello, everyone. It is a great joy and pleasure to welcome you to this special gathering. My name is Dan Meyer. I am the chairman of Fuller's Board of Trustees and also a pastor of a local church in the Chicago area. And I know that across the country and wherever we happen to be today, we are bound together by our love for Fuller Seminary and for all that God has that great institution doing in this season. We're excited to talk to you about that season today and have on the call with us not only some members of our senior administration, but also some trustees, alumni, faculty, staff, donors and supporters and friends of Fuller and curious others. And just wanted to say at the head of this, just how important each one of you is to the life and the mission of Fuller Seminary. I think all of us are conscious that we have been through a series of volatile experiences in our culture and country and indeed around the world over these past several years. Fuller's been caught up in all of that, and then COVID on top of that. But despite the turbulence and the disruption and the difficulties of the season, God has been really at work in some marvelous ways in the life of the Fuller community. And I know that as a member of the board now for 11 or 12 years, I've had the chance to watch some of those seasons unfolding. And I can't think of too many that I have been more excited about in a positive sense than the one that we're in right now. Under Mark Laberton's very gifted shepherding, we have put together a marvelous senior leadership team. We've established a terrific collaboration between faculty, administration, staff, and board. We have been involved in some marvelous bridge building and partnerships, and not only within the seminary, but with new partners and various important audiences all around the world. And our vision today, as you perhaps have heard in various settings, is to provide truly indispensable formational education for diverse Christian leaders everywhere. We believe that the measures we are now taking as a seminary are going to position us for an even more faithful and effective influence, not only here within the North American context, but truly around the world. So we are excited about that. So much of that is bound up in a visionary strategic plan we are calling Fuller Next. And you're going to have an opportunity today to hear something about that from Dr. Ted Kosey, our Chief Operating Officer, and from a number of the other colleagues on our senior team. Let me just observe that it is because of the great progress we've made, the strong base we have, the great team of leaders that are gathered around Fuller's purposes, that I, for one, and I think I could speak for my other board colleagues, are feeling a great deal of confidence and peace as we enter into what is now going to be a 2-year presidential transition. Some of you will have just heard the news of that impending change. And we want to say more about how that is going and how we're responding to this information. And I will do a little bit of that in a moment. But I thought it would be appropriate for you to hear, first of all, directly from Mark himself about how he senses this particular moment and the days to come. So Mark, over to you.
Thanks, Dan. And let me add my welcome to all of you as Dan has offered his. We're really, really grateful for your attention and interest in Fuller and for your prayers, for your financial support, for all the various ways in which you engage Fuller. So thank you for that. When I started as president about 8.5 years ago, it was clear to me that my period as president would be approximately 10 years. And I expressed that to the board. That was my hope, that I would be able to do that. I was 60 at the time. I would be 70 by the time that was done. It felt to me like it was a good sort of bracketed way of understanding a period of leadership that was going to move from the great traditions of where Fuller has been into further and further into the new season that is certainly upon us. So I'm very grateful for the headway that we've made. You know that there's been lots of challenges, but we've also made, as Dan just said, some significant strides forward. So it now feels as though it's the right time and a sensible time to acknowledge first to myself that I feel like I've given the best that I have to give to Fuller. And secondly, that Fuller Next really calls for a new kind of leader who is younger than me, different from me, and a person who could help really usher in the fullness of the Fuller Next plan. So we worked together over the last months, the board and I, and have come to this plan of a 2-year presidential transition that begins now and will conclude not later than June 2023. Along the way there, a new president will be chosen and will begin. And when that happens, whenever that happens, I will step down. And then my availability is to be as responsive as I can to support the new president and to do whatever I can to help make that transition smooth and strong. We're clear that we want to maintain the direction that we're in, and we're clear that we also want to continue to move forward as Fuller reaches out to both people around the world and people across the country. One of the main things I'm involved in right now is a project called Rethinking Church in the 21st Century, which is both being done by people inside Fuller and also by a variety of people in the US and across the world. So that project will continue, and I hope to have a hand in that as well. So it's just been such a joy to be in Fuller in this season and in this year. There's a great deal that we're trying to accomplish, and some of the colleagues that I get to work with most closely are going to share more details about that.
We're going to have a chance a little bit later for you to ask questions, and if you have any particular ones that you'd like to tender for Mark, I know he'll be eager to respond to those as we have time. Let me just say a quick word to you about how we are coming at this transition process. We have now constituted at least the start of an excellent transition discernment team. I think one would typically call this a presidential search committee, but the chairman of our team is Jimmy Miato, Santiago Jimmy Miato, who's the president and CEO of Compassion International. And Jimmy has reminded us that in our faith tradition, we believe in a sovereign God who is never surprised by these changes, who has been patiently cultivating and preparing the next president of Fuller Seminary. And our job really is to discern who that person is, not to search in a fearful sense or an anxious sense, but to patiently wait upon God, do our diligence, and then discern that well-prepared person. So we have formed an intentionally diverse team. I want to just say a bit about the trustees who were a part of that, and then a little bit about the faculty participants. Jimmy Miato, as I mentioned, is heading up our search team or our discernment team. He is accompanied by Mary Andringa, who is the retired chairman of Vermeer Corporation, a long-term trustee. Nicholas Pierce, who is a professor at the Kellogg School of Management, a pastor in a leading African-American church here in the Chicago area, and an author and also a very veteran leader in organizational and institutional settings. We're joined by Merritt Sawyer, who is the executive pastor at Peninsula Covenant Church in the Bay Area, and a longtime leader in so many different global Christian circles, and a very veteran trustee as well. She is joined by Tom Lynn, who is, as many of you will know, the head of InterVarsity Christian Fellowship, also on our board. Jody Vanderwell, who comes from the Dupree family, so well known and beloved by Fuller, and herself a longtime trustee. And then I also serve on this committee. We will be joined in coming days by members of the faculty. Our vision is to add 2 faculty members from each of the schools that make up Fuller. Those will be persons who are nominated by the faculty themselves and then selected finally by the deans of the 2 schools. And together with that combination of trustees and faculty members, we will institute mechanisms that invite the input and wisdom of a much broader circle of advisors as we finalize our opportunity profile and get clearer together on exactly the kind of person we need and the specific issues and sensitivities that person needs to tune into. So you can stay tuned, because in days ahead, we'll be sending out communications to the wider community, asking specifically for your input. We would really value what you sense is going to be important in this next season. What are you looking for in a president? What are the particular issues you feel that person and that next administration will need to remain tuned into? What do you see as the opportunities that Fuller needs to be seizing? What do you see as the problems they need to be that we need together to be addressing. So our prayer is that God will work through this process, and that by the end of this year, this calendar year, that we will be in the process of actually making contacts with potential candidates. We are going to enlist a professional search partner in that venture. We've narrowed it down to 2 leading search firms and anticipate within the next month selecting one of those partners to assist us in making truly a global search for the very special person that God is preparing for this next season. If all goes as we pray, we will have been led to that person hopefully by next summer, and that a formal baton pass with Mark can begin to take place at that time, and Mark can be freed up now for the following year to really focus in on some of those key leadership projects and his continuing work with a very exciting and fruitful capital campaign that we're working on and will in coming days say even more about to the general public. So we're beginning a great adventure. God has been enormously faithful to Fuller in the past in leading us to the right person. And we've got great trust in the Lord that once again, the miracle will happen. He will do it again. And that we'll find just the right gift mix in this next servant for Fuller's future. I think that's probably everything I want to say about the search at this particular moment. Again, please feel free to register questions you might have in the chat, or use the email we'll provide in a moment to ask further questions. As I said, we wanted to hear most of all today from some of the key leaders that are involved in advancing our strategic plan, Fuller Next. And to lead us into a conversation about some of the most exciting elements of that venture, I want to invite Dr. Ted Kosey, our Chief Operating Officer, to take the microphone. Ted?
Thank you, Dan, and welcome everyone. It's really a pleasure to be here just to talk about Fuller Next. It's a very exciting strategy, as Dan mentioned. Before I do that, I would like to let everyone know that our physical campuses have safely reopened for face-to-face classes. We have 65 classes underway now, face-to-face, after being shut down and being fully online for about 18 months. So it's gone extremely well, few incidents, a lot of great planning over the summer to make that possible. So I just want to extend a thanks to all of our staff, especially our pandemic planning committee that was so instrumental in making that this re-engaging in a face-to-face manner so positive and so successful. Of course, as part of Fuller Next, we're also engaging students online and also in hybrid fashion, but it is so wonderful to be together face-to-face again. So Fuller Next, as Dan mentioned, our tagline is that Fuller provides indispensable informational education for diverse Christian leaders everywhere. And I just want to take a few minutes to talk about indispensable formational. Indispensable, especially from a student perspective. We want to make sure that students, when they consider coming to Fuller, that they see us providing something that's uniquely suited for their calling. We don't want to be everything to everyone. We want to be Fuller, and we want to call students here, and we want to attract students who, when they think about their calling, they can say, for what I need, for my calling, Fuller has something that I can't get anywhere else. It's indispensable for what I want to do. Also, from the employer side, when our graduates leave Fuller, will employers say, we love those Fuller grads. They are indispensable for what we want to do and our mission as employers. Much of the work that we're doing with new degrees and at our campuses is designed to do just that. And the word about degrees, a big part of Fuller Next is developing new and relevant degrees that prospective students will see as indispensable. I will highlight just one of them, and that is our new Doctor of Marriage and Family Therapy degree, a degree that allows our MFT graduates from any institution, if they want to extend their master's degree in marriage and family therapy, to further enrich their capabilities, their competencies. We offer the Doctor of Marriage and Family degree, which has very successfully launched in September. that's just one example. We're going to be doing a great deal of market research to figure out other new degrees to offer as well. When we talk about formational, which is another part of our vision mission, what that tries to get at is we not only educate our students academically, we seek to form our students spiritually, emotionally, of course, academically, and also vocationally. And so Fuller Next will be addressing and is addressing formation in all of those areas so that when our students leave, they'll be truly prepared comprehensively to engage in the calling that they seek to fulfill. I want to say a word about our campuses because these degrees that we're going to be launching will be launched not only in Pasadena, but also in Phoenix and also in Houston, our 3 campuses. And so Fuller Next also involves a great deal of refocusing on those locations to make sure that those new degrees are not only relevant to those locations, but those locations are also going to be engaging in a much more robust way with the local churches, local communities, local organizations. So Fuller will be much more engaging, not just internally with students, but also externally in the communities that we serve. So a lot more exciting things to say about that as well. I could go on, but I want to turn it over to some of my colleagues. One more comment about Fuller Next. A big part of it is that we are going to do everything I just said in a financially responsible and a sustainable manner. That's a big part of the metrics that we're tracking. I'm pleased to say that our last fiscal year, we balanced our budget. We were able to do that by keeping a good eye on enrollments. Also, our development efforts were very successful, and we kept our cost in control. And as a result of that, we achieved our first balanced budget in many years, and we expect that to continue. We realize that we have to earn the right and the privilege to continue to grow our programs and expand. And if we, and that involves being good stewards first with what we have. So very grateful that we've been able to balance the budget, and we look forward to doing that in the future as well. So that's Fuller Next in a nutshell. I'd like to turn it over now to my esteemed colleague and Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Alexis Abernethy, and who will take you a little bit further. And first of all, congratulations to you, Dr. Abernethy, for being our Chief Academic Officer. Looking forward to serving with you in all kinds of ways. And so I introduce you now to Dr. Abernethy.
Thank you so much, COO Kosi. It's a pleasure to be with you. And I do want to begin by saying, naturally, we heard about Mark's transition, the transitional presidential transition before us as a faculty with some sadness. And that's out of a deep appreciation for the contributions that he's made. But there's also overwhelming gratitude for the way he has faithfully served and a great sense of confidence about this 2-year presidential transition, which allows us to be in this process of discernment, but also to move forward. And there's excitement related to that opportunity as well. So I wanted to just highlight then 3 major foci that I have as CAO. One has to do with what COO Kosi just noted, the experience of students. We are very focused on trying to improve the experience and enhance the experience of students. And in my role as CAO, that has to do with academic processes, the ways in which we can even enhance experience more, and lessons that we've learned during COVID will actually be helpful for us going forward. So that's a major dimension. Then the other 2 have to do with mentoring and 2-school partnerships. So let me highlight with mentoring. Mentoring of faculty is a familiar concept, but the way we are envisioning doing that at Fuller builds on what COO Kosi noted about our view of formation. All mentoring would include academic, vocational dimensions. But at Fuller, we are also focused on the spiritual dimensions and emotional. So our new chair and chief of formation and integration, Brad Strawn, who's also our dean of the chapel, he's newly appointed, and we are working together to partner to create spiritually formational opportunities, but also mentoring our opportunities that are more holistic, that really draw on all of these dimensions. So that's an exciting new feature and focus that we have. And we're also thankful that we have a new chair, Cliff and Joyce Penner Chair, for the formation of emotionally healthy leaders. I wanted to get every word right there. We're so thankful to have that chair now, and we are recruiting for the person who will hold that chair. And we will also be partnering with that person in our work related to mentoring. So our commitment to this is we want all faculty to have a mentor, but we are prioritizing our new faculty. So we've already provided mentoring opportunities for 10 of our new faculty who've come in the last couple of years. And we're engaged right now in a cluster hire. So there'll be another 8 or 9 faculty coming, and we're committed to providing mentoring opportunities for them as well. And eventually that will be available for all faculty who are interested. The second thing that I want to highlight is the two-school partnership. It is so important that the School of Psychology and Marriage and Family Therapy work even more closely with the School of Mission and Theology. There have been ways in which sometimes faculty have taught together from our schools, but we're wanting to really enhance that. And this is so highlighted in Fuller Next, and such an important thing that we as Fuller offer uniquely. So we are wanting to do the things that we need to break down any dividing walls related to this, but also pursuing creative opportunities for teaching and research. So now as we're applying for grants, we are really putting forward leaders of those applications who are from both schools so that we might live out that vision more fully. So those are a couple of exciting things that are before us that we are engaged in. And speaking of our schools, I look forward to having you and introducing to you Dean Young, who is the Dean of the School of Mission and Theology.
Thank you, Dr. Abernathy. I want to pick up on a couple comments that both you shared as well as Dr. Kosi. Certainly the ability of faculty to work together more closely over the two schools is a major plus as in Fuller Next. And that includes really for one of the first times in our history, the School of Mission and Theology inviting, welcoming, and collaborating with faculty in the School of Psychology, Marriage and Family Therapy to offer courses in the School of Mission and Theology master's programs, and then to be added on also at the doctoral level, courses in psychology, in therapy, staffed by our SOP and MFT faculty colleagues. So the degrees in the School of Psychology and Marriage and Family Therapy have long welcomed and included theology and missiology courses, but this Fuller Next includes also the reciprocal interaction in which SMT degrees and programs include SOP, MFT contributions. So that's an exciting part of Fuller Next. And this is also another thing to emphasize that even within the School of Mission and Theology, we have theology and missiology working more closely than ever before. Faculty in the school collaborating in degree programs, in courses, in order to ensure that our commitments to theology and missiology are well represented across every single program in the School of Mission and Theology, from our Masters of Divinity to other both refreshed and new degree programs, including also into our professional doctoral programs and to our PhD programs. I want to also then pick up a little bit on providing indispensable formational education to diverse Christian leaders everywhere. One of the elements of Fuller Next involves commitments to expanding what we provide beyond the residential components of our courses to including more hybrid, intensive, and online developments. One of the things that's really amazing in many of our master's programs in the School of Mission and Theology at this point in time includes the fact that we have students, 25, 30, 40 students in an online class coming from multiple time zones across North America, even South America, and around the world as well. So faculty are teaching students in real time, literally around the world, reflective of the fact that our students are coming to us from around the world without necessarily leaving their home context. Some still do, and they arrive on the shores of the United States and come to Pasadena, but many are taking classes in their locations and able to integrate what they are learning and also contribute to faculty classroom conversations and discussions from their contexts, testing, if you will, theological and missiological theory on the ground right away, if you will, from week to week, as they are reading, as they're developing assignments, so that what they're doing is, if you will, demonstrated to be indispensable in real time as they undertake their ministries, as they're involved in mission work, as they're working in leadership positions in various contexts that God has them. Really an opportunity to bring together in real time what they are learning in seminary, as well as what they're doing regarding how God has led them and how God has placed them. So these are many of the exciting developments that we're seeing in Fuller Next, and we continue to press forward with a great deal of confidence and a great deal of excitement amidst these various opportunities. I'll turn back now to Chairman Meyer.
Thank you so much, Amos, and to each of my brothers and sisters who have worked so hard over these past years on so many of the great developments we're now seeing. I wanted to take a couple of questions as we have time today. And so I know that Brandy Ammons has been inviting you to submit questions in the chat. And Brandy, if you would feel like you want to highlight anything that seems to be a major theme and direct it to one of the panelists, we'd be pleased to respond as we can.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dan. One quick question for Alexis. You had mentioned that you all have learned some lessons during COVID and you're working through those. Can you expand on any of those lessons specifically? And I know we only have a few minutes, but I thought it might be worth kind of pinpointing a few of those lessons learned.
Well, one of the things that I could highlight, and we're in the process of learning them, but for SOPMFT, SMT, the classes, a number of them were online. For SOPMFT, that was totally new experience. So we took a crash course in offering online classes, within about a couple of months, and teaching and learning was phenomenal in assisting us in that process. Well, what that's done, I'm one of those faculty who had a dividing wall related to online instruction, right? But it forced me to get over it and then actually to find some of the strengths of it. And so there's a way in which, even though hybrid is the direction that we are doing many of our things, especially in SOP, MFT, and in person for many dimensions, it's actually increased my confidence as we need to do sometimes some instruction in a hybrid way for a particular class on a particular day. So I've learned some teaching strategies, and I've been teaching a few years. Faculty that have been teaching for 20, 30, 40 years are learning new strategies. And some of the ones who are newer in their role in teaching roles may have learned some of this because of the context of where we are now. So there's a way in which we've all enhanced our ability to engage students, whether they are online or in person, or in some cases both. That would be one thing that I would say. There are many other lessons, but that's what comes to mind right now.
Wonderful. Thank you. I know we didn't have a lot of time and we're right up against our time, Dan, but I do encourage everyone, you can always submit questions through the link on the invites, or I put president@fuller.edu in the chat box. Please feel free to send questions, comments, thoughts our way, and we will make sure to respond and follow up appropriately.
Thank you, Brandy. And I want to just say again to each of those fellow panelists and to all of you who've taken the time to invest in this conversation that we cherish the relationship we have with you. I think every single time our board gets together, we're conscious of the expanding concentric circles of others that hold Fuller dear to their heart and care about the world that Fuller is trying to reach, at the church that Fuller is seeking to resource. And I depart this conversation today encouraged by the very significant progress that Fuller has made in these last several years, at a time when so many institutions have been shaken and Christian higher education has been challenged. Fuller, I think, has shown the best of its DNA, its spiritual DNA, which, as many of you know, was a remarkable blend from the beginning of innovation and orthodoxy, of the passion of a radio evangelist and of a theologian coming together. And we've just seen that generative synergy emerge during this season with new financial discipline, with all kinds of creative thinking around curricular offerings and methodologies for delivering our education, and the establishment of all kinds of new partnerships with people around the nation and around the world. And as the chair of this board, I think even in a season of transition as we're entering now in the president's office, God has his hand on us. And I am really excited to see what will unfold in the days to come, and feel like our best days may yet be to come as we see the fruit being born from the ground that has been plowed so faithfully. So thank you to all of you for your financial support, for your prayers, for your wisdom and counsel, and for being Fuller. Beyond any building that we occupy, you, this community, you are Fuller, and the mission we have is more important than ever in a changing world. Thank you for your time today. We will look forward to hearing from you, and we'll respond as we can. Blessings to you as you head out on the journey, wherever you are.